What's up, people? Prodigal son. I always have a ton of stuff that I could talk about in videos, and all I want to do by making these videos is to keep people from falling into pitfalls. I'm hearing things about forced prophecy. You know, Satan knows the Bible better than any of us. I hear people say that it's not time yet. I've heard people say we're already past the allotted time. So technically we're in God's grace right now. He's extending the time because the end should have already happened. Now you can look into Bible prophecy, you can read the Bible. There's all kinds of end of days prophecies. So many people are getting all of this wrong, and I'm not here to say that I have it right. I'm here to say I can tell you one way to avoid pitfalls. And one is getting your information from a credible source. Not that they're always going to be right either. But I've heard some really crazy things come out of like YouTube and Facebook and all these, wherever you get social media videos and whatnot. And there is so much misinformation, disinformation, misleading information that it's hard to even know what to believe. It's hard to try to get a bearing or, figure out, okay, this is what's supposed to happen next. Because, when Ukraine and Russia came on, everybody's like, oh, this is World War III. And the people that read my post know that I said this was not World War III, and it's not. World War III is Israel, Iran, Syria, maybe a few other, Turkey. So then we talk about the Ezekiel 38 war, right? Well, I've read in some places where some people believe that that's long gone and done with already. Is it? We don't know. That's my point. No one truly knows. So how do you get through this? How do you deal with it? How do you not fall in and believe that? Because when 9/11 happened, I started reading and, paying attention. I remember on 9/11, I watched that video of the plane hitting the tower. Not because I enjoyed it, because I had to try to wrap my mind around what I was seeing, what was happening to us, our country, our freedom, what was going on. We had never seen anything like that in our lifetime. In the beginning, it was a lot easier because, you didn't have all this outside influence trying to get people to, if you could get ads on your videos and ad revenue, people don't want their ads on what sounds like crazy talk or even patriotic or biblical. They just don't want their company, their products being aligned with whatever someone was saying, even if it was right. So the one only thing that I can tell you to do is to just read the Bible for yourself, constantly be in prayer, where, I'm not always praying as I'm walking around in my daily life, but it's kind of like, so like the day before Christmas when you're a kid, you're always like, yeah, you're going about your day on Christmas Eve, but man, all you're really thinking about is Christmas and opening those presents and, having fun and playing with your toys and all that. Well, that's how I look at this whole thing with Bible prophecy, end of the world stuff, whatever. Because we have really no idea where we're at, what's going to happen next. If Satan knows the Bible, which he does better than us, better, just as well as God, and he could be doing things or trying to push things into a certain order so that it makes the Bible look inaccurate to make people like me or someone else that's just out there trying to save people from basically going to hell, but saving them from a lot of things. We can be made to look insane, crazy, because, oh, well, the Bible said this was going to happen, but it didn't, and instead this happened, so you're all wrong. And I'm not going to be a Christian or believe in God because obviously you don't know what you're talking about. So I've learned that I'm not going to come on here and say, yep, this is what's next, and then that's going to happen, because we don't know. Now, this Israel-Iran thing, I believe that this could possibly be the start of World War III, where it starts to brew over time, or it could just die off, or they could go to war. So that's the thing, we don't know. So when you are in constant, you're aligned with God at all times, all your mindset, because when I'm going through my life, I'm not even kidding, when I speak, when I talk to people, and I start saying things that I shouldn't, or getting mad, or soon as any of that stuff happens, I kind of feel what's that called, where you're made aware that, hey, God isn't liking this, hey, God doesn't appreciate the way you're talking or the things you're saying. And so I always feel his presence on my life, and anytime I'm not living right, he makes it aware to me. So as I go through my day and I'm hearing these things and watching these things come about onto the earth, I'm not stressed about it. Who isn't? Our futures are being ripped apart and stolen from us. I would have had a nice retirement life coming to me. I had big plans for my life and what I wanted to do. I wanted to, do car stuff on social media. Not because I want to get rich from social media, because that's my passion, is cars and drag racing, all that stuff. But my bigger passion is trying to make sure people don't go to hell. And that's what this kind of, video is about. That the only true way you're going to get through all of this and not be fooled or tricked is to basically let God just lead you and let him be your guiding light. When we see these things happen, yes, they can be scary, but if you fully trust in God, if you fully have faith that you have nothing to worry about, you don't have anything to worry about. And the more I go through my life, the more I am realizing he is in total control. And if you allow him, he will guide you down this path and help you avoid the pitfalls, the mistakes. Man, you know how many times that I've told people something that I believed was going to happen? Not that I was even wrong, but maybe just things didn't work out for that thing that I believed. And then you go around town and everybody's like, hey, be careful because blah, 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 blah. And then it doesn't happen. And people are like, well, you're an idiot. Why would we listen to you? You don't even know what you're talking about. So to come out here and say, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen next, because none of us do. What am I watching for to happen next? I think if we see in the Bible, if you look, I can't remember where it's at, but if you search for it, where Damascus is a ruinous heap, I believe that's a thing that happens right before the tribulation. And it's where, for at least what we can decipher, Damascus gets wiped off the earth. What can do that? Nuclear war. What's going on right now? Israel and Iran. Israel and Iran and Syria. So I think that if we see, and this is where gets kind of weird, but if you have watched I Pet Goat 2, not everything in that short video came to fruition, but a lot of it has. And I mean, a lot of it has. And how do people do this? Well, one way is called automatic writing. And I'm sorry if you don't believe in this, it's a real thing. You look it up. The people that actually do automatic writing, they most certainly believe in it because it works. They're able to, make it happen. So basically what you do is you sit down and with a pen and a paper and you go into a trance. There's numerous ways you can put yourself into a trance, but you go into a trance and say you're out for a half hour, you're kind of like just, well, some entity will come into your body, take over, and write down all this stuff that they want to bring to the world. If you read in the Bible, it does say that things coming upon the earth will make men want to die from fear. Well, in my opinion, that is the spiritual realm finding a way to cut a doorway into our reality, and then they will come in. And that's how they get here. So I believe a lot of technology has come from some sort of sense where, did you ever wonder, where the idea for all this technology even came from in the first place? I get it. A lot of stuff happens naturally. It does. But think about your phone, man. The phone is like an entity all in itself. I mean, you can do all these things. So, say you want to know the air temperature. Well, you just download an app. Well, say you want to do this. Well, you just download an app. So it's like, well, how does this phone just automatically know all these things? How does it have all these sensors to know all these things? I mean, in my opinion, the phone is like almost like alien technology by the way it works and the way. Now, some people might think that's insane or crazy. Well, that's fine. That's your opinion. And then thinking about internet and how it works, and just that we can talk to someone across the world on a cell phone or a telephone. There's no wires, there's nothing, but yet you can talk and they hear you literally as you're talking around the world. That's just crazy to me. There's no wires, there's nothing attached to your phones that, runs the speech through. There's no delay on your speech. I mean, that's just crazy. So I believe we were never supposed to have this technology to begin with. And obviously, anytime we give men power, it almost corrupts absolutely every time. Almost every world leader we've ever had all falls short because they all end up getting corrupt, because they all have a price. When you're a worldly man, and this goes right back to what I was saying, where I'm connected to God 24/7, when I'm doing something wrong, he puts it, he makes me aware, hey, I don't appreciate this. But when you are a non-Christian who doesn't even believe in God or the afterlife or what might happen to your soul, or even if you're just not even worried about what happens, what's stopping you from becoming corrupt? What's stopping you from taking that money or doing whatever it is that they want you to do? Nothing. So people might not think, and I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church. I don't have a church. I haven't been to church in years. I've gone to a couple, just because, but I'm not attending them because I sought this church out to attend it. And I've never been closer to God because I seek Him out on a daily basis. And church isn't necessarily always about getting closer to God. Church is also about being around people, like-minded people, so that you're in a community of people that think like you. Just like all these Chinese foreigners in State College, they're all together. They all live around each other. They're all friends with each other. Same with the Indians and all the other different ethnic groups that are here. They all stick together and take care of each other. Well, that's kind of what church is for too. Not the only reason, but it is a big reason. But just because you don't go to church doesn't mean you can't be connected to God. That is the only way any of us are going to make it through this without who knows what. any amount of bad things can happen for believing the wrong information or believing the wrong type of leadership. You know, you get my drift. If we can't get our country back, if we can't take back what is rightfully ours, because again, as a Christian, I believe this land was given to us by God, that no other man has a right to say, yeah, we don't care, we're taking your land from you. And if you haven't noticed, that's one big thing they like to do, is take the land. Bill Gates, biggest landowner, farm owner. Imagine that. I'm going to try to get off, so I don't want to run up hour-long videos. I just wanted to say this because it was on my mind. But if you think about Exodus in the Bible, and those people were in the desert for 40 years. 40 years. How did they eat? Where did the water come from? They obviously weren't growing crops. They obviously weren't farm people. So how did they survive? The exact way that I am telling you right now. They just trusted in God. And when they didn't, bad things happened. When that golden calf formed supernaturally in the fire, that was bad. And they were made known that was wrong, and they didn't do it again. But they made it through 40 years of the desert simply because they trusted in God. He sent manna down because they had no food. So he sent heavenly food. It's called manna. And they were able to eat it without having to grow it, process it, manufacture it, whatever. Moses struck a rock with a staff. The rock split in half and water came out, and they drank and were able to bathe and do all the things they needed to do with water. And that's, you know, if something ever happens that this country falls apart, which I think it will at some point, that's how I plan on surviving. I'm not going to stress that, oh, well, because I'm a prepper. I have a lot of prepping stuff ready to go. But eventually all that will run out. Eventually you won't have much. Eventually you're on your own. How are you going to make it? Well, I assure you, as much as I'm sitting here, because I've been healed miraculously, I know God is real, and I know He will take care of you and me if we allow Him to. I'm not here to preach. I'm here to give you some hope, because this is looking real bad. You know, we're in God's hands right now. You know, even when all seems lost, it's nothing for God to bring it back around or to make things right. And if it's not His time that He wants these things to happen, they won't. Maybe this is a time where we're being tested and, you know, trialed because, well, for whatever reason He has. I don't know, you know, but I'm just saying, like, maybe, just maybe, this isn't quite the end yet. Maybe it looks like it is and it isn't. So if we go around believing all is lost, we already don't believe God's going to take care of us. And it's hard because I've fallen into it many times. Whatever you do, you know, when the Christians were put in the lion's den, right, certain death, right? You're going to die. You're in the lion's den. You are in trouble. Did the Christians whine and cry and just, oh, we're going to die. Oh, God, you won't save us. No, they did not do that. They praised and worshiped Him all night long. So then the next day, when the Christians were walked out to the lions and chained up for the lions to attack, they didn't attack. They didn't do anything. The Christians were saved. So God can do anything if you allow Him to. If you let Him, and you will never, ever regret your decision to trust God. And you will see, the more you trust Him, the more your life will change in ways you never, ever thought. The more people we get to trust God, that's our fighting power. That is where we win. That is where we strike back and take some authority back over our own lives and over our own country. And if it doesn't, then you'll be safe until that day comes that you're no longer here. Just never stop trusting God. And if you're in a position where you're scared to death and whatever the situation is, don't give in to the fear and just sit there and praise God, because either one of two things is going to happen. He's going to save you, or he's going to, allow whatever to happen, and you're on your way home. And if you look in the Bible, this is the last thing I'm going to say. If you look into the Bible, I can't remember the names, but a couple, they sold their house and they kept half of the money and only gave the other half to the disciples. And the one disciple, Jesus or God told him, like, hey, they're keeping half the money. So when he asked him, why'd you, try to cheat God and keep half the money? Once they admitted it, says right in the Bible that they laid down and went to sleep. They didn't suffer. They weren't put into positions where they were in pain and tortured and all that. No, they just laid down and went to sleep. So even if you're facing a firing squad, that doesn't mean that God will allow you to feel those bullets go inside of you. You might die before the bullets even hit your body. And again, that's what I believe for the people that totally trust in God, that's how their passing will be. Or they're not passing because God saved them. You get my point. I don't want to keep on droning on about the same thing. But I'm not here to be an influencer. I'm just trying to be a guy who says we have hope if we want it. Be safe. There are talks where people have their house surrounded by gangs that are from outside of this country. They are actively coming in as gangs, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 people at a time coming over the border and then being in a gang, and they take those gangs and they surround houses, they go to businesses. It's like Black Lives Matter but on steroids. So keep your situational awareness on high level alert at all times. Try to buy food, try to buy guns, try to buy bullets, try to buy machetes, knives, anything that you can use to survive if something would happen. It's hard to prep right now. It's hard. Everything's so expensive. But do what you can to get ready and hope, and just in case something doesn't go our way, you're prepared. And if it does go our way, then just use the stuff when you need it. I have a ton of stuff that I'm glad I have now, even though I haven't used it yet. Eventually one day I will, and that's fine with me. But be safe out there. It's getting nuts. It's getting scary. It's getting crazy. I live in a town that's almost all foreigners now, and I'm always aware and, keeping my head on a swivel, making sure there ain't nothing funny going on that I need to be aware of. Don't downplay this either. Like, this is for real big time, bad time stuff, and it is scary. Obviously our leaders are not here to protect us or to protect this country. I told you they can't bring in a new world order with a strong America, and I believe that's what this is all about. Keep on praying, guys. Keep on praying.